that we're pretty well along in the retopologizing of my bear's face, it's time to start solving a huge problem, and that is the distribution of all of the edges and the vertices inside the interior of my mesh. If you look carefully what's going on here, we have a density, perhaps, that is undesirable, and this is a fantastic product of the retopologizing workflow. We were focusing initially on the creation of loops, not so much the distribution of the vertices inside the total mesh. Well, it's time to go in and start evenly spacing out all of the polygons. As we know from our exploration inside of our digital sculpting toolset, is that we want to have, at the end here, an evenly distributed series of polygons. We want all the polygons to roughly be the exact same shape. And we do that quite easily with the quad draw tool. Now, if you'd like, and this is something that I do all the time, you certainly could go in and do this by hand. If you want to be able to do that, I say go crazy. Have fun. It's going to take a while. There's a lot of verts that you need to adjust by hand. So let me provide you with an alternative. And it's been hidden. It's been in the quad draw tool this entire time, and it's called the relax function of the quad draw tool. The relax function is going to be activated by holding down the shift key. And that's going to turn your cursor into a nice smoothing brush, if you will, as we left click and drag across the surface. Watch what happens. So I'm holding down the shift key. You can actually see the word relax show up underneath my cursor. And now when I left click and drag on my mesh, I'm just kind of doing a circular motion, you can see that it's starting to smooth out and attempt to push and pull all of these verts so that they're evenly distributed across the entirety of my mesh. It was real dense, and now I'm starting to smooth it out. We have some additional features inside of the relax modifier that I want you guys to see. So I'm over here in my modeling toolkit, and under this relax pull-down menu here, we have some choices that will define which vertices are going to get smooth. The default is auto lock, but we also have 3 others that are pretty great. We have interior vertices, which is only going to smooth out the verts inside. In addition, check it out, and this is where it becomes really quite good. We can change it to border vertices. Now it's only going to smooth out the verts along the center line of my mesh. Again, I'm holding down the shift key. Now I'm going to left click and drag, and notice that it's just smoothing out these, and it's not doing the interior. As I click over here, nothing, but I go back to the border, and it's starting to smooth it out. It's starting to evenly, as best it can, evenly distribute these polygons across the mesh. You're going to find that this is an organic process. You'll smooth the interior, then you'll do the border, which will probably inspire you to go back in and smooth the interior again. It's kind of this lovely little dance that we play as we go through the smoothing of our shapes. One final thing, we can enhance the region in which we're smoothing by activating the soft selection tool, and I find this to be just quite magical. Right now, if we were to hold down the shift key, it's only smoothing out, oops, I'm on border, let's put it back to interior verts. It's only really smoothing out the vertices right underneath a small region around my cursor. Well, what if I want to influence a large swath of polygons? Perhaps I'm doing the base of the bear, the body of the bear, and I want to influence the distribution and the spacing of our polygons across a much larger area. We'll thus enter the soft selection tool. The keyboard shortcut to enable soft selection is the B key. And this is going to overlay a gigantic circle, if you will, underneath our cursor. The size of this default cursor, this default circle, is huge, and we need to make it smaller. You can see the visualization, if you will, of the influence of the soft selection based on the color of the verts. Where they're yellow, they're getting 100% the influence of the smoothing tool. Where they're red is 0%, so it gradually fades off the influence of the smoothing, which is great. We need to make my circle much smaller, so if I hold down the B key and then left click and drag to the left, it's going to make the radius of that circle much smaller. Now, the default circle is huge, so you may have to click and drag to the left a little bit before you see the impact of the change of the size of that circle brush. Just keep that in mind. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's a good place to begin. And as I cursor around here, you can see the area of influence that my smoothing tool is going to have on my mesh. So now when I hold down the shift key, watch what happens. It smooths out a much larger region, and I can just really quick work here. Look at that. magic. I find that just to be quite good. And it's still, since it's still holding the shape to the underlying surface, that live surface is keeping all of this in play, which is just really, I mean, look at that. Job done. FYI, this soft selection system isn't just limited to working with the smoothing tool. With the soft selection tool enabled, you can actually just move and edit and with the soft selection on as well. So it's just kind of a neat little thing to have in your back pocket as you start to smooth out and evenly space these polygons. So be careful with it though. Yeah, you can see that it's trying to smooth out my polygons so much that it's eliminating an edge loop. So we can either make the brush size smaller, which is working in this case real well. I like that. Yeah, there we go. And I'm pretty pleased with that result. I'm going to switch back over into my border verts. I don't think I got the border over here. Yep. The more evenly spaced out our polygons are inside the mesh, the better the results are going to be. Yeah, look at that. That's just great. I'm quite pleased with the result that I've gotten from my retopologizing and the smoothing of my shape here inside of Maya, and I'm ready to reset my center line. Some things have shifted a little bit because of the smoothing. Luckily, resetting the center line is super easy, and then if I wanted to, I certainly could mirror this shape here in Maya or back in Blender to test to see how it's all working out.